Hey there guys, if you have ever wanted to build a PVC Parrot Play Gym, like the ones you see on Instagram, those really elaborate floor models, tabletop models that give your birds so many options in terms of enrichment and interaction, in this video we are going to start part one of the Ultimate Parrot Play Gym series. This is going to be our base play gym, and we're going to build all of our other modifications off of that. So if that is something you guys are interested in, please stick around because that's going to be coming up right after this. Hey there guys, this is Jack over at Hi Red Bird, where I am tirelessly working to find new ways to make the keeping of exotic animals and pets more exciting, more affordable, and ultimately more enjoyable. And in today's video, I am very excited because I'm going to be starting what I am calling the Ultimate Parrot Play Gym series. Now this is going to be part one, but basically this series is going to be an a la carte menu of different ways or different things that you could add in building a PVC Parrot Play Gym. Now, of course, you can watch these videos and decide any parts that you like to go ahead and include them. But if there's any things that you don't particularly like, your space won't allow for it, you don't think your bird would be interested in it, feel free to omit them. The goal of this is to create the perfect play gym for your individual bird. And so you, as the person interacting with your bird, watching your bird, you're going to know what is best for them. But in this first video, we are going to be building a pretty straightforward play gym. It's going to give us a lot of room to customize it down the road. Now, if you've never built anything out of PVC before, I strongly recommend you check out this video up there. That's going to be a basic tabletop stand that I did. It's going to walk you through building a very small tabletop parrot stand in great detail. This video is probably going to go a little bit faster. But of course, I'm still going to try to include any of the information you guys may need. So you are going to need a couple of items in building a PVC parrot stand. The first one, obviously, is going to be PVC. Now, a special note about PVC, I am going to be using 3/4 inch PVC. I have found that it is fairly versatile. I can use it on birds like cockatiels and budgies, and they're pretty comfortable with it, but I can also use it up to things such as small or medium-sized cockatoos. If you're building something just for smaller birds, just budgies, cockatiels, lovebirds, you could obviously go down to 1/2 inch PVC. It does get a little bit flimsier, but for the application we're doing, you shouldn't have any great lengths where you really have to worry about it. That flimsier nature is really going to be more of an issue if something like a large cockatoo or a macaw tries to land on your stand, because it might have enough wiggle room to give way, to topple over. So pay attention to the diameter of piping that you're using. Again, I'm using 3/4 inch PVC pipe today. Now, the type of pipe that you use is also going to correlate to your fittings. So I am going to be using 3/4 inch PVC fittings. So for the basic stand that we're doing today, I am going to need 4 PVC T fittings. And you want to make sure that these guys are slip fittings. That means when you look into every opening, you see no threads. These are also sometimes called solvent fittings. And obviously their counterpart would be threaded fittings, where you can screw them in and out of each other. Slip fittings are going to be what you're going to want for this. So 4 slip PVC T fittings that coordinate with your size of pipe. You are going to need 8. If I can pick them up. PVC elbow fittings. I don't know why I needed to pick all of them up at once. I guess just to prove that I could. Now these, again, you're going to want the slip fittings, so there's no threading inside of these. And again, these are 3/4 inch PVC pipe fittings. Now on your PVC pipe, I am using Schedule 40 PVC pipe. That is what I recommend. You can get PVC pipe that is going to have a thinner wall. It'll usually be a little bit cheaper, not too much, but it does end up being fairly brittle, and especially if you get to birds with bigger beaks, they can chew through it and break it. If you use this outside, this PVC tends to do okay outside. The thinner walled PVC will get a little more brittle. It can break down outside over time. So that's something you want to avoid. You also want to avoid, it's sometimes called cell core or foam core PVC pipe, because it's not going to be solid throughout the wall of the pipe. There's actually going to be little pockets in there that make it lighter. They make it a lot cheaper, but they also make it a lot easier for a bird to destroy. So just schedule 40 PVC pipe. It's going to be really, really easy to find. And I do want to point out that it is going to be cheaper the longer you get it. So at my local hardware store, you can buy 5-foot lengths of 3/4 inch PVC pipe for maybe about $2.50. You can get a 10-foot length of 3/4 inch PVC pipe for about $3, and you can buy a 20-foot length of 3/4 inch PVC pipe for about $4. Now, I don't know how many people have a vehicle that can accommodate 20-foot PVC pipe. To be perfectly honest, my vehicle can't even accommodate 10-foot PVC pipe, but then again, my vehicle is basically an overglorified Matchbox car. So you would think my only option would be the 5-foot PVC lengths. But one of the tools I recommend for this project is going to be a set of ratcheting PVC cutters. And if you bring these with you whenever you go to the hardware store, everyone will think you are a lunatic, but you can get 20-foot lengths of PVC pipe, bring them out to your car in the parking lot, and cut them to size so they fit in your car, and ultimately get a lot more PVC for a lot less cost. And again, the ratcheting PVC cutters are going to be one of the tools I highly recommend for cutting PVC pipe in this project. You could also use something as basic as a hacksaw. A table saw with a specially fitted blade will cut through PVC pipe, a chop saw. I mean, any cutting implement, if you're committed to it, you could probably get through this with a steak knife. I don't recommend that, but PVC is really easy to cut through. The ratcheting PVC cutter is my recommendation. If you need a cheap alternative, you can get a pretty cheap hacksaw that will cut through this. It'll just make a little bit more of a mess, but then again, if you're building this for a bird, you're probably comfortable with having a little bit of a mess to clean up anyways, so it's entirely up to you. The last thing you are going to need is going to be a permanent marker. Now we are going to use that to be marking our PVC pipe. One thing I want to point out with this, we are not going to be building anything with any strict measurements. All of the pieces don't have to be exact, they have to be relative to each other. So if we're building perches along the width of this stand, we want those perches to coordinate. We don't necessarily need to know exactly how wide that PVC is. So you can use a permanent marker. You don't necessarily need a measuring tape, but if you're trying to get this stand to fit in a particular space, you may want to go ahead and grab a measuring tape. I am also not going to be including anything for gluing or securing the PVC together. My recommendation for you guys is to go ahead and just dry fit the PVC. Press it in as hard as you can. You can use something like a rubber mallet to get a really good fit on the PVC pipe, at least until you are completely done with any modifications you want to make to your play gym. We can always go through and secure it at the very end, but we want to make sure you guys make something that you're really, really happy with. I'm also not going to be including anything for detailing or texturing the perches just yet. That will be a future video, but I do want to show you guys how you can build so many different things. If we texturize the perches, it's just going to be a little bit harder to modify it as more videos come out. If you would like to texturize your perches, the easiest thing I can recommend is going to be vet wrap. Again, that basic tabletop stand video that I talked about, I'll also have it in the description of this video. We'll go over exactly what that is and exactly how you secure that to your perch. So that's going to be the easiest thing to do. Now, of course, since we're making a customizable play gym series, you'll get more options later on as more videos come out, but you could essentially have this play gym ready to go as soon as you build this very first component. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started on this very first part. I am going to be building this play gym in real time, and I do that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want people to think that this is an incredibly difficult thing to do. The biggest piece that you need in doing this is the confidence to know that you can do it. So I encourage people to just go ahead, jump right into it. Realistically, PVC is fairly inexpensive, and it is incredibly versatile, and you never exactly make a bad decision with it. Now, you may be off on a few cuts. Maybe you've made a piece that, oh no, it's half the size of what you wanted. You can add a coupling and get your length back, or you can cut off very small pieces if you have made a piece that's like half an inch too long. Always save all of your pieces because they are all very, very useful. If you have a piece that's even 2 to 3 inches long, that could potentially be a small offshoot on a perch. If you have a piece that is only half an inch to a quarter inch long, just a small ring of PVC, that could be a spacer on a kebab toy that you build later on. So all of these pieces are reusable. So don't feel like you can't jump into this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So the first thing you're going to need a piece of PVC, and you want to just eyeball and figure out exactly how wide you want your perches to be, how long you want your PVC play gym to be. So I'm going to go ahead and decide that that's probably a good length for a perch. If I was building this for something like a cockatoo, that would give a cockatoo enough room to turn around on the perch. They could face different ways. Again, I have no idea exactly how long that is, but that is the length I am going with. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down with ratcheting PVC cutters. Now I'm going to let you guys know right now, please do not judge me for the appearance of my PVC cutters. They have spent some time outside. They've been in a garage. They are getting a little bit older. And they have been through some things, but they still work very, very hard. So we're not going to judge them on their appearance. We're also not going to do the same thing for me because I feel like a lot of those same things apply. I have worked very hard, but I have been through some things. So again, please don't judge me for that either. So now that we have this first piece of PVC, we know that's going to be a perch. I'm going to recommend marking this. So we're going to just put an A on there. That's our very first piece. That's the width of PVC that we are using, that we are going to use as a template. Now, I recommend using the same one, the very first one that you cut, as your template for all of your other pieces. Because what's going to happen is you may cut at a little bit of an angle. So maybe there's not even a quarter inch difference there. But what can happen is I line that up there and then I cut it. And then I'll take this piece and line it up and cut it. And then I'll take this piece and line it up and cut it. And at the very end, the first piece and the fourth piece can be an inch or two different, and you wonder how that happened. If you make one piece to be your template and base them all off of this, they're all going to be very, very similar to each other. Now for this play gym, we are going to need 4 pieces that are this size. So again, I'm just going to line up the ends using my Sharpie. I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to cut it with the ratcheting PVC cutter right on that line. So again, we're going to take our template, the one that is marked, line it up with the end, mark it. And if you're worried about these marks, permanent marker marks on PVC pipe will come off very easily with rubbing alcohol. And of course, if you want to go completely insane or not, depending on your spouse, if you don't like the look of the barcode and the printing that they have on the PVC pipe, you can use mineral spirits that'll completely remove all of that, along with any of the permanent marker marks that you make. It'll just give you a nice clean finish. So again, I got to find the one that was my template, which is right there. And we're going to do one more. Now this is going to give us 2 perches, and then it's also going to give us 2 of the braces at the bottom. So that's going to give us 4 pieces that are all reasonably close to being the exact same size. If they are off by a quarter of an inch, that much won't really matter because depending on how much you press into the fittings, you can accommodate for that inside your fittings. So don't be worried if they're slightly off. As long as you make a template and use it for all of your other pieces, you can have this put together really, really easily. Now I do have this piece left over, and this piece isn't really going to be useful for what I'm going to do next, so I'm going to put it to the side. Remember, this is not trash. You can reuse this. This would actually make a great offshoot perch. We can use this for bracing. We can use this for a lot of different things. Just not what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take another piece of PVC pipe. Now if you're going to do what I did, if you end up 20 feet of PVC pipe should be enough to do this. I actually got 40 feet of PVC pipe, so I can guarantee that I should have enough to make a decent sized stand. So the first thing I want to do is my taller perch. I want to decide exactly how tall I want that. And yeah, that seems about good. My recommendation, if you've cut your PVC to sections like I have, where you don't know exactly how long they are, but you're going to have a hard time getting multiple cuts out of it, just eyeball it and make sure that, you know, on this one piece of PVC pipe, I want to go about or even a little less than half. And that way I can make sure that I can get that other piece out of it. So again, this is going to be piece B. So I'll label that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that, yeah, right about there. Now, just like before when I was cutting the perches, we're going to line that up. We're going to mark it. And we're going to go ahead and cut it. Now, we're only cutting 2 of these pieces, so we don't have to make sure that we keep cutting from that base template. So I'll put that piece to the side, because these are going to be the risers for the very first perch. So what you want to do is take each of your risers on one side, put a 3/4 inch elbow. So I'll show you guys so you can see. And then take one of your perch pieces and install that right there. Now you want to make sure you can see that the angle isn't quite right. This one's just coming up. So all you want to do is just flatten it out. And again, because we're not using glue, because we haven't really pressed anything into itself yet, it will all move pretty easily. But that's the first piece you make. You've made what is essentially a U out of PVC. That is going to be your taller perch. So we're done with this for right now. So we're going to actually put that to the side. Now we're going to do the same thing, but a little bit smaller. So we want to have a little bit of variety. And again, since we are doing this relative to each other, what you can do is hold that perch up to it and realize I want this perch to hit about here. We're going to be very, very technical in building this PVC Play Gym. So that seems like a good length for me. So this is going to be part C. Now, while you are still in active construction of your Play Gym, I do recommend go ahead and leave all of your template pieces with their label, because if you decide you want to add another perch the exact same size, you'll already have that base piece to work off. But we're going to line that up, mark it, cut into that with our ratcheting PVC cutters. All right, so there we have 2 smaller risers. So we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to have our risers, add, maybe if I line that up correctly, that'll work. There we go. There's a 3/4 inch elbow on each side. And then we're going to go ahead and add our perch. And again, you see this one is coming up off the table. So just sort of hold it down, press it into it. The pieces will turn. You may want to get a little bit more. The goal is just to get it pretty flat. Once you have it pretty flat, then you can press into the pieces. You could press into that. You could always use a rubber mallet to do that. But there we have 2 perches, and you can see they coordinate with each other really well. Maybe if I press that in a little bit more. There we go. So we have 2 perches that are going to be the same width. You can see they both line up on both sides. It's just going to be a little bit finicky until we get it all lined up. But now that we have built these 2 pieces, I actually need to change the camera angle, back it up a little bit, so that you guys can see everything else that we are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right. Ta-da! The magic of television. Now that is about as technical as I am going to get with the video editing, so I hope you guys appreciated that. Now we have our two perches. We have our taller perch, we have our shorter perch, and we need to put them together. So if you look at it from the side, you'll see we have these two perches, and we can decide how far apart we want them to be. You could have them this far apart. You could even have them pretty much right next to each other. One thing I will point out, if you have multiple birds, if you have the perches this close together, the bird on this perch will be pooping on the bird on this perch. So I definitely recommend, if you have multiple birds and you want them to use this at the same time, keep your perches at least a bird's butt away from each other so you don't run the risk of your birds pooping on each other. They typically don't enjoy that. But I actually have two pieces that I have that should fit really well. I have gone ahead and marked them. They fit each other. So again, relative to each other, the exact length doesn't matter. But we need to figure out how to attach that. And for that, we are going to use our 3/4 inch T fittings, or whatever fittings correspond to the PVC that you are using. Now you want to add the T fittings so that you can include your footers. So we have the perch going up and down. Perch comes across this way. The T fittings go this way. So I'm going to do both of these. And we're going to do it on this one as well. Now I will tell you guys right now that you will think that you are lining them up as best you can, and they are not quite going to be square when we are doing this. And that's okay, because I will show you guys how to fix that. So now that we have our two pieces lined up with our T fittings on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and install the runners for the bottom of this play stand. So you can see that these are a little bit further apart. These pieces are coming a little bit closer together. See, even if I turn it around, forced perspective isn't doing anything for you. These ones are still a little bit further apart. So just eyeball it, figure out what exactly isn't lining up how you want it. This perch right here, I can see needs to pivot inside this fitting. So I'll just hold that fitting and just lightly turn it until it's exactly where I want it. And I'll know that it is exactly where I want it when this other piece fits in very, very nicely. All right. Now, if you wanted to finish this up with just some small pieces of PVC pipe and some couplings, you could. But the way that we are going to build this ensures that this will be really, really square. Remember, we cut 4 of these pieces that are the same size as our perches. These are going to go on either side, and that is going to give us the ability to ensure that the overall construction of this perch is very, very square. So we are going to attach that with a 3/4 inch PVC elbow, or again, whatever size fitting corresponds to the pipe that you are using, on both sides of our braces. Now we just need some small pieces to connect this base part of the frame to our braces. So we can actually use one of these small pieces of PVC that we cut previously that wasn't really useful to us later on in order to do that. Now, to decide how long your braces need to be, I encourage you guys at this point, go ahead, see how wobbly or how sturdy your stand is. If your stand is a little bit wobbly, if it's tipping, set your braces a little bit further out. Give yourself a little bit more room. That'll make this a lot more stable. This one's actually pretty sturdy, so I don't need much. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece that is only a couple of inches long. And I'm going to need 4 of these pieces, 1 for each of the corners. And again, we are going to use the same trick. Label your first piece that you cut. I believe we're on piece E now. Use that piece as a template to cut out all of your other pieces. Now you are going to want this piece to be at least a couple of inches long. It's going to be really hard if you go less than that to just be able to ensure that you have a good fit into both of the fittings. As a general rule of thumb, a PVC pipe can fit about its diameter into a fitting, at least with these smaller pipes. So for a 3/4 inch PVC pipe fitting, we would expect the pipe to be able to go about 3/4 of an inch into that pipe. Now, of course, that is going to depend on exactly how much pressure you're using, the manufacturer of your fittings. That can change a little bit, but again, that exact amount isn't important to us. We just want to make sure that we have enough. Got to open those a little bit more. Now I need one more. There we go. And of course, it's always best to talk to yourself. Give yourself a little bit of a pep talk. At the very least, just assure yourself that no matter what it looks like right now, your bird is going to absolutely love it. So we're going to take these small pieces that we put in, and effectively these pieces are just to attach the braces to the bulk of the perch. So we're going to go ahead and have that ready there. Have that ready there. Again, like we did when we did the perch, just make sure you sort of get everything flat and smooth. Now that's going to be really good on that side. So now, just feed it into the perch. All right. Now, it may be a little bit wonky at first because you may not have put the same amount of pressure on every single time that you put a perch in. So what you want to do, go ahead, pick it up, and just every angle you could, push it in as much as you need to. Now just remember, the more you push it in, if you decide to change this later on, the more work you're going to have to do to take it apart. But you can see in just a matter of a few minutes, we have, start to finish, built a pretty useful PVC Parrot Play Gym. So as you guys can see, this is really something that you guys can take on very easily. So I definitely encourage you guys to try this out. All right, guys, and that was step one of building the ultimate Parrot PVC Play Gym. Now with this alone, you already have a couple of options on ways that you could expand this. You could decide to do both of your perches at the exact same height. That would give you something a little bit different. Your bird might be able to bounce back and forth between those perches. You could do 3 perches, one that is very tall and 2 that are at the same level on either side. So you've already got a couple of options. Building a play gym with PVC pipe is incredibly simple to do. It's incredibly cost effective, and your parrot is going to absolutely love it. So if you guys liked this video, go ahead, click the thumbs up button. I am like Tinkerbell. I live off of applause, so please give me that. If you guys are enjoying these videos or if you find them useful, I definitely want to provide you guys plenty of educational, useful content. If you guys are liking the videos that you're seeing on this channel, you want to go ahead and subscribe to this channel because I'm going to be doing a lot of other tutorials, how-tos, DIY videos. Plus, there's just going to be a lot of really fun animals, so everybody really enjoys that. So I do want to thank you guys for going ahead and watching this video. If you have decided to build a PVC play gym based on this video, please do me a favor. Go ahead in the comment section down below, leave a picture of what you built, because for me, I definitely think that for a lot of people, they are incredibly intimidated by building something like this, even though it is very simple. So if we show everyone that there are multiple options and multiple people have done this, hopefully then people will realize this is something that's pretty easy to do, not scary at all. So I do want to thank you guys once again for watching this video. But as you guys know, I've got some cages to clean, so I've got to head out, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks. Bye.